Hola chicos, bienvenidos a la clase de español. Welcome to Spanish class with Language Nerd. Today we're going to learn how to say correctly some of the Spanish names of the brands that we all know and love, but unfortunately there are still so many people who are still mispronouncing them. And I will also mention a couple of names of Spanish-speaking countries and a town that are just commonly mispronounced, particularly if you are a native English speaker. You need to pay attention because it is so common to commit these pronunciation mistakes. The problem is that these countries are written just like in English, but of course, in Spanish they are pronounced differently. And of course, don't forget to let me know in the comments if you're guilty of committing any of these mistakes that I'm going to mention. Okay, let me start with the biggest, most loved and the most popular retailer from Spain. And the brand is, you probably guessed it. How do you say it though? Are you pronouncing it as Zara, so Z with a Z sound, or are you saying it even worse, Zara, so you pronounce the first vowel A as an E sound? Then I have to disappoint you because you are saying it wrong and you need to stop doing it. Seriously. Now you have two options with this name. You can either pronounce the letter Z as S, Sara, which is more commonly used for the Latin American Spanish. So you will hear them saying Sara, or you can say it Zara, Zara, which is a bit more common for the Spanish from Spain. And don't worry if you can't say the Zara sound. I'm guilty of this as well because it's very common. It's also called a ceseo, so people who can't pronounce it correctly. But you can, instead of it, the Z you need to pronounce as S. And that leads us to another big clothing Spanish retailer, which is, now, how do you say it? The problem for the English native speaker is that the vowel A, they tend to pronounce as E sound, which is incorrect. So stop saying mango because it's mango. Remember, mango, the wide A sound. And continuing still with fashion brands, that leads us to the next big Spanish brand, which is Desigual. Now the tricky letter here is S. Because it stands between the two vowels, some of the Spanish language learners tend to pronounce it as Z, desigual, which is incorrect. Remember, the S in the word desigual needs to be pronounced as S sound. And the next brand, also related with fashion, I know so many fashion brands that have Spanish names, is Carolina Herrera. Now, Carolina Herrera is a Venezuelan fashion designer who is known for dressing quite a few first ladies like Melanie Trump, Michelle Obama and Jacqueline Onassis, just to name a few. Now, the problematic letter in her name is the letter H, because the letter H in Spanish is silent and should not be pronounced ever. Remember, it is Carolina Herrera, not Carolina Herrera.
Good Girl, Feminine Fragrance by Carolina Herrera.
So if you are still pronouncing the letter H in Spanish words, please stop, because this is incorrect. You need to remember that the letter H is actually silent, always. And la creme de la creme of the Spanish fashion brands, the luxurious brand Oscar de la Renta. Oscar de la Renta is a fashion designer from La República Dominicana who is also known for dressing Jacqueline Kennedy. Now, the English native speakers might encounter it difficult to pronounce the letter E as a wide E sound. They tend to say Oscar de la Renta, Oscar de la Renta, instead of Oscar de la Renta. And the next one, if you're a fan of his perfume,
Narciso Rodriguez.
remember that is Narciso Rodriguez, not Narciso Rodriguez. And with these brands, there are actually 3 difficulties when it comes to pronunciation. The first one is that the letter C in the name Narciso tends to be pronounced as Narciso. Remember, when the C follows by the vowel I, it needs to be said as Narciso, so S sound. The second problem with this name is that the letter U is usually pronounced when the non-native Spanish speakers say the brand Rodriguez. You need to remember that the letter U is actually silent, so it is Rodriguez. And then the third difficulty is when it comes to pronunciation is the letter Z. The letter Z in Spanish is pronounced as S. So instead of Rodriguez, you need to say Rodriguez. And if you like to drink tequila, remember that one of the most popular tequila brands in the world is pronounced as Jose Cuervo. Jose Cuervo, not Jose Cuervo. Remember that the letter J is actually pronounced as H sound, so Jose Cuervo. And we are staying with the alcohol brands. Who doesn't like a little bit of Bacardi in their cocktail, right? So if you're saying it like Bacardi, then stop, because this is wrong. It's not Bacardi because the last I has actually an accent over it. There is la tilde over the I, which means that the stress needs to fall on the last syllable. So it should be Bacardi, not Bacardi. Remember, Bacardi. Okay, and we are still staying in the world of alcohol. Corona. Okay, you might think to yourself, why would this word be complicated to pronounce, as it doesn't look like it is complicated in any way. But what I have noticed with the native English speakers is that they tend to pronounce the vowel O as O, corona. It's not corona, it is corona. Remember, it is a wide O sound. Corona, corona, corona or corona. Do you notice a difference? I do. And last but not least, how do you say this brand? Do you think it's seed? Well, it's definitely not seed. It is written like an English word seed, but it's not pronounced like that. It actually is Seat. Seat. So remember, don't say it as seed because it's actually 2-syllable word. Seat. Seat. Okay, we covered how to correctly pronounce some of the Spanish brands, and now, as promised, let's have a look at some of the Spanish-speaking countries that so many of you, just kidding, are mispronouncing. And the first one is Mexico. Remember, it is written just like in English, Mexico, but in Spanish, the correct way of saying it is Mexico. So the X is pronounced as H sound, Mexico, not Mexico, Mexico. The second one is, it's not Argentina, it's Argentina, Argentina. So the J is actually pronounced as H. And one of the most loved Spanish cities, it's not Barcelona, it's not Barcelona or Barcelona, is Barcelona, Barcelona. Remember, the letter C can be pronounced as S or Th. And the next one is Panama. There is la tilde over the A, which means that the stress goes on the A sound. Panama, not Panama, Panama. And the last one, Venezuela. Venezuela, not Venezuela, Venezuela. So the letter Z needs to be pronounced as S. Let me know in the comments if you have been committing some of these pronunciation mistakes. Which of the countries have you been mispronouncing, or the brand? Make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss your next Spanish lesson. Hasta luego!